derp. I was making sure it was recording because John wanted to be sure to have a recording to view. But today is the birthday of the Libertarian Party, and El Paso always has a birthday party, so he couldn't make it today.
It's breaking up a bit, so
I am?
it's, yeah.
That might be on just on your end, Bennett, because I think I can hear it perfectly well.
Yeah, and I just got out of a 6-hour-long LNC meeting, and anyone who's been at an LNC meeting with me knows I can't keep my mouth shut. And
Okay, both of you are breaking up. It's probably my setup here.
well, we need at least one more person before we have quorum. I'm going to bump that email if I can find it. In case anyone forgot.
In a bit. First, I really have some chocolate ice cream. Okay.
Does anyone in here happen to have Brandon Work, Mason Bishop, or Kyle Fury's phone number? Oh, Kyle's here. Okay. But if anyone does then happen to have Brandon or Mason's, if they could shoot them a text, or Orion, because I would hate for them to miss out. But we do have quorum, so we're going to get started on time. So I'm calling the meeting to order at 7:03. In just one moment here, I'm getting back. You all should have gotten an invite to the bylaws folder to be able to view as we start putting documents up there. And I see Bennett took off, unless he just turned into the invisible
I'm
man.
listening.
Okay.
And I'm probably going to have to turn off my camera to improve the bandwidth.
All right, and I just wanted to make sure Reese, Matthias, and Kyle's audio is working.
All excellent on this end.
Okay, awesome.
Yep, mine works.
Okay, and I am going to
Copy.
share my screen. And we don't have anyone from the public here. I do make sure I publicize these meetings in case anyone wants to come. Takes a special breed who wants to purposely go to a bylaws meeting when they're not in the committee, but usually Mike and I are of that breed. So there will not be any opportunity for public comment. So item number 3 on the agenda. And first of all, if anyone ever feels like volunteering to be committee secretary, please feel free. I will not cry if I don't have to do both jobs, but it's not unusual on smaller committees for the chair to do both. And I'm prepared to do both, but it can make things somewhat difficult. in that folder, which I'm gonna go here into that folder on my shared screen, there is a document, folder, excuse me, in the subfile of Bylaws Committee 2023, entitled Forms. And there's a bylaws proposal form in there that you can download. As we start doing actual proposals, I do want you to use this form. And, you know, Mike's pretty familiar with it. If the first time you use it, you mess it up, it's no big deal. We'll go over it. You'll get the hang of it. This is something that's very commonly used on national committees, where if there's a change, I want you to be able to articulate what the problem is that you're trying to solve, how it solves it, and what benefits it's going to provide to the party. Because this will start to form the draft for our report. But it also gets you thinking about whether this is something that's really necessary and if what you're suggesting is really going to solve a real problem. And having to think through that, it helps the proposals be better. And in this section here, you'll copy and paste in the current wording. If you don't know where to find the current bylaws, they are on the LP Colorado website in the footer, but I'll stick a copy of them in this folder as well. And I'm going to ask Andy Bukovich for a Word copy of it, which will make it easier for us to block and copy stuff. Then you'll stick in your proposed amendment using markup text. And what markup text is, anything you want to strike out, you will bold, put in red font and strike through. And anything you want to add, you'll bold, underline, and put in blue font. And then if adopted, will read is where you'll just stick it over there, remove all the markup language so people could see what it looked like when it's clean. And you'll need to put in the section and title. Don't worry about proposal number. That's something that I'm going to handle. And you'll put your name down here. Sometimes a couple people will band together for a proposal. So, but if you ever have any questions on this form, just let me know. But that's where you can get it from, because it helps document the changes that we're going to be doing. Is that understandable to everybody?
That makes sense to me.
Okay, awesome. So let me go back to the folder and pull back up the agenda. And what I wanted to do before we actually went to actual, because I'm hoping to start actual work tonight. I wanted to have a bit of an open discussion on what everyone's thoughts were on maybe some goals you have, some changes you might like to see. And if you don't have any and you're just here to work and come up with ideas as you go along, that's fine too. Don't feel any pressure. I also wanted to give the rationale why I already had something on the agenda. For those of you who are newer or haven't really been following this particular committee for years, there was a convention mandate, I believe it was 2019.
Yeah.
Yes. Where there was a resolution passed by the convention committee for two things to be brought back to them for consideration. One of them was combining the Constitution and bylaws into one document, which did happen. So that's been done. But it was also to follow National's procedure of having a standard set of convention rules that would be appended to the bylaws. So they're not like bylaws, but they're like an appendix to the bylaws, which is exactly how National handles it. This serves multiple purposes where we don't have to reapprove new standing rules every convention. So it saves time. It helps people prepare for the convention because everyone can look ahead of time and see what the rules are. It prevents ambushes on the floor, where people come in with some weird set of rules that nobody's familiar with. So it helps continuity, it saves time, and it protects members. Fortunately, in Colorado, we've pretty much had the same set of standing rules. It's gotten tweaked a little bit over the years, but it's a very mature set that I don't think there's going to be much work we'll need to do to propose these as our permanent standing rules. But One problem is there has to be conditionals in there, which national does too, where some rules will say on election years and other rules will say on years we do other things. And that's fine. We can look at how national bylaws did it. But something I wanted to make clear to you guys, standing rules can be suspended by the convention. So we don't have to stress so much that we're locking the party into some kind of procedure that they can't get out of without some convoluted procedure. It's just the recommended rules for the convention, and absent a motion to suspend the rules, they will be the rules for the convention, but it's not a straitjacket. It's not as stringent as bylaws. Bylaws can't be suspended. Rules can. So that's the difference between them. So I'd like to just kind of go round the table a bit, start with Bennett, then go to Reese, Matthias, Mike, Kyle, just because that's how you're appearing on my screen, for the open discussion about potential areas for change and concerns that you may have. So Bennett, if you'd like to start.
Oh, I was sent here by the Arapahoe County affiliate, and basically I'm going to be looking for opportunities to make bylaws less of a straitjacket. And because if we can't demonstrate the libertarian philosophy among ourselves, we're not going to be very convincing to the rest of the world. So I'm going to focus primarily on bush hugging out the deadwood. I'll be doing a lot more repealing than proposing
There's no
anything new.
deadwood.
And
If just,
Sorry.
yeah, like, if ever anyone has disagreements with what anyone says, feel free to use your time to say that, because we're going to have differing philosophies, but continue, Bennett.
okay. Well, my final objective here is to spend at least twice as much time listening as I do talking, if not more.
Thank you, Bennett, and I'll end up going last in this list. So, Reese.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm coming into this with any particular goals in mind, just to, make sure that we have a good set of bylaws to propose at convention time. So.
Hey, thank you, Matthias.
Yeah, I think I like how the bylaws look in general. I think it might be prudent to try to trim it up and make it a little more, condense it a little more, so people looking at the bylaws, aren't overwhelmed. But other than that, just here to learn, and yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
Yeah, first of all, there is no deadwood in these bylaws. These have been finely tuned over the past 9 years. Second of all, these were recently borrowed for making New Mexico's new bylaws. These have been reviewed by independent parliamentarians and pronounced some of the best in the country. They are as lean and as cleanly constructed as we can make them. But that being said, there's some other, we have some things we have to clean up in there. Specifically, we've got to improve some areas in regards to how our state level committees are elected, like this one. We need to add a process for disaffiliation hearings should we need them. We need to improve how the JudCom does their stuff. We need to improve the verbiage on making things are in the proper time listings of months versus instead of months versus minimum days. We have a bunch of we have to clean up the parliamentary authority thing because of the way that Roberts operates. So there are pieces that need to be cleaned up, but they're pretty tight. So that's all I got to say about that.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Kyle.
Yes, I've got a couple ideas that I'm coming here with that kind of were discussed by members of the board as some issues that need to be addressed. One of them is that there currently is too many board members, we believe. One of the main issues caused by that is that we have trouble keeping those board positions filled, but there's a couple other kind of structural issues that we think that could potentially solve if we reduce the size of the board. Also, we think that adding in some sort of dues is needed. Another idea is trying to potentially, I guess, trying to potentially try to establish some sort of single decision maker role. Someone who can kind of make decisions on the fly without needing to wait for a vote of the board necessarily on certain things, obviously within limits. And then, yeah, there were a couple other smaller issues as well that that was pretty much it.
Okay, and I'm gonna go last. On the issue, I heard one common thing. Kyle, I agree with you absolutely on dues. I believe Mike does as well. This is something we've been talking about for a while. There's strong feelings on both sides of this issue. However, I'll echo Mike's sentiment. I know it's so easy to come onto committees, and I'm going to ask everybody. And I'd say this for anyone who's also on platform. There's people who've worked on these documents, and sometimes some parts can be bad. But remember, particularly if you're on a committee with people who have been on past committees, that they have a sense of personal pride, and to be real careful not to say that things are crap, maybe work it in a more diplomatic manner, even though that could be your opinion and you're perfectly entitled to it. It is a fact that when there was a review done of all the state affiliate bylaws, Colorado's, and this is when we had a constitution and bylaws, which isn't ideal, were deemed the best. So let's keep that in mind, that professionals have reviewed these, and at least procedurally, you know, and as in a technical format, they have been deemed to be very good. And when the new New Mexico affiliate formed, they actually did Colorado the honor of taking our bylaws in full and just changing them to fit New Mexico. For another new state affiliate to do that speaks very highly of our bylaws. So that's, I do agree on the dues. I'd have to see a proposal on reducing the board. My first reaction is I don't agree with that, but I'm always open-minded. I actually think we need a larger board in a different way, in a different organization, though that's not something I intend upon proposing this term. It is something that I hope the party considers in the future to prepare for growth, because the more successful affiliates that are setting themselves up to be large tend to have board positions that are occupied by ideally, what I think the Colorado board should be is its core group, be it whatever size it may be, 11 or less, and then have at-larges that are appointed or elected by recognized affiliates, so that affiliates have a stake in the game on the state board. Because in the past, Colorado has had a very weird relationship between the state board and the affiliate parties, to the point that a couple boards ago, a state chair literally said her goal was to destroy the Libertarian Party of Douglas County. We can't have things like that. And there's been this weird relationship between the affiliates and the board for my whole time in the party. And one way to solve that is to give affiliates a stake in the board where they don't feel like they're left out and they're getting bossed too. But again, I think that probably is too much to hope for this convention, but it's something that I do think in the future, that's the way the larger, and we are a top 10 affiliate, that's kind of the way they operate. So for a point of information, I am on the Convention Oversight Committee, and as the advisor for the business section, They are giving us a lot of time to present proposals if we need it. So we should, you know, make sure that we have well thought out proposals, but we will, I think they're giving us like 4 hours. Like that's a long time. After this convention, these bylaws should need like an hour and a half each convention. There shouldn't need to be these large blocks of time. Our platform right now is only getting, I think, 45 minutes on the agenda because our platform is very tight and very mature. So are there any other questions or comments? Okay, well, seeing none, we're going to get to business soon. Just some things you guys might not know about committees. There are slightly different parliamentary rules on committees. If we ever end up having members of the public here to observe, I am going to ask people to observe more formality, you know, Mr. Rutledge, Mr. Labrie, but when it's just us, first names are fine, because I think otherwise that's a little weird. But if we do start getting party members attending these meetings, I would ask that we observe a little more formality. But otherwise, things need to be done through motions and amendments. And I know that can seem tedious, but there is a method to the madness where you do end up with a superior work product. And also the question cannot be called on committees. Discussion goes for as long as discussion goes, unless people start getting repetitive, then it's my job to say this is getting dilatory. The same points are getting said over and over, but otherwise things get talked through. Everybody gets heard. Nobody gets to move to shut down debate so that voices are not heard. So everyone, do not fear. If you have an opinion on something and you want to be heard, you're going to be heard. So what is on the agenda then for today, and it doesn't mean we're necessarily going to pass it today, but we can at least start going through it, is the convention standing, the consideration of permanent convention standing rules. And what I would like to do, I'm kind of putting you on the spot, Mike. I'd like to make you co-host, give you sharing capabilities, because these are kind of your baby. And I'd like you to present it if you're amenable.
It'll take me a minute to find them and bring them up on my computer, but we can do that,
And they're in the folder too, which you have access to.
which I haven't looked at yet. So give me.
Okay, but I also need to make you co-host. It's not allowing me to make you. How come it's? Hold, this is like so bizarre.
It's Zoom X.
It says make host, but that is so strange. But I think I can do multi-sharing where it says allow multiple participants to share, or advanced sharing options. Who can share? All participants. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to stop my share. And once you get it up, that came out wrong. That's what she said. Once you have it available, I don't know if that's even better. You can start sharing and explain.
Hang on a minute. We gotta have the peanut gallery over here to control themselves.
Oh, it's that, Lydia.
Yes. Okay, where am I looking in here in the folder?
You would be under, hold on.
Convention rules proposals?
Yeah. Hidden in plain sight.
Hey, I've had a long freaking day, okay? And I'm still not done with it.
And what I'm going to do on this folder, Mike, because there might be some amendments, I'm gonna give you editing privileges. So you're an editor on that folder?
Okay, I'm going to ask this question directly. We got a combination of issues here. We've got to figure out the convention rules for this convention and for down the road. Now, currently in the folder, we have drafts for both. Now, the 2024 and plus one is for beyond this convention. That is the formal bylaws proposal to link it all together. It includes a listing of the proposed convention rules. The 2023 one is just the rules proposed for this convention. However, here's the kicker. The 2023 ones do not include parts of the 2024 and beyond ones that do not apply for this year, like nomination of candidates or election of national convention delegates, as an example. So for this year only, they're an abridged version just to cover the things we need to cover. Does that all make sense to everybody?
It does. What I think we should, what I suggest, Mike, is that we actually look at the one that's going to be the proposal, because that's going to include everything.
That's fair.
And then we'll just remove what's not pertinent for an odd year to propose for the convention standing rules for this convention. For everyone, if you didn't follow what Mike was saying, because we don't have a standard set adopted, this committee has to propose ones that will be adopted at the beginning of this convention. And hopefully that'll be the last time that will have to be done. But it should pretty closely mirror what we're going to be proposing to be adopted as our, I don't like using the word permanent, but our standing rules, you know, the ones that just follow from convention to convention.
Yeah, and the key point about that is that these were done in developed in parallel, so that if we make an adjustment to the actual proposal for the 2024 and beyond, we should look to carry that through for the draft of the convention rules
Right.
for 2023.
Yep,
the
that's why I was
exception
saying
of-
if we work on the proposal, the 2023 ones kind of take care of themselves.
It just, well, it'll carry through, yeah. The key point here is that the 2023 ones do not include parts that don't matter for 2023. It doesn't include nominations for
Right.
public office. It doesn't include national convention delegates, because those don't matter in 2023 because it's an off year.
Now,
So
does
the 2023 ones are kind of a subset of what the proposal was.
Does the committee understand the difference between a bylaw and a standing rule?
You better explain it, just because.
Okay, a bylaw is, I mean, it's a form of rule, but it's of higher rank. And it's things that are much more existential to the organization that need to be difficult to amend, and they're non-suspendable. They are basically the contract between the leadership and the membership, with duties, rights, obligations, that sort of thing. Standing rules are things that are related to certain particular circumstances to help facilitate the running of business, but they aren't written in stone. And if a particular circumstance comes up, someone can move to suspend the rules and do something different for that limited period of time. But it's the basic structure that, absent a suspension of the rules, that's how things will follow. And things that will generally fall into standing rules, which we'll start to see some of them, will be things like, how long can people speak in debate? How many times can they speak in debate? What's the standard length of nomination speeches? It's things like that you don't want to clutter your bylaws with, but you want to have rules for. So like if somebody's running for party chair, they can look at the convention standing rule and go, oh, I need to prepare to have 5 minutes worth of nomination speeches. So it gives some structure to the convention, but if we're running out of time, someone could move to suspend the rules to reduce nomination speeches to 2 minutes, that sort of thing. And if you've been to a national convention, you will have seen this in operation quite a bit. All right, Mike, take it away.
Okay, so I will.
Are you sharing yet or?
Not yet.
Okay.
I haven't brought up yet. I was just letting the discussion flow for a minute. Okay, hang on.
And
I
I'm
think this is
pulling
gonna
up
work.
the national bylaws because I see something you did that I just want to see how national did it. Okay.
Okay, hang on. I making sure I'm doing this right. Okay, I'm not, can everybody see this?
No, wait, I almost did. Hold on. I always have to do show all windows with Zoom. No, I do not see a share from you, Mike.
Okay, oh, there we go. Hang on, that's part of my problem. We want that one. There we go. Okay, is that any better?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay.
Now let's
All
see if
right.
everyone else can. Can
Yep.
you all see his share?
Part of my problem is we use Skype too much at the office and not Zoom, so I gotta keep track of what's what.
Okay, so what I'd like you to do, Mike, is go over it in general, and then we'll start getting into some particulars. And I'd ask for everyone to hold their questions until Mike's done with his general presentation.
Okay, there's two parts to this. One is the actual rules themselves, but the pertinent first part is how are those rules linked into the bylaws? Okay, they're directly tied to each other, but there's two parts to this. But we have to look at the proposal, the part of the proposal. I can talk to you guys that has to do with linking them in first. So the first thing is, if you take a look at the proviso here, this kind of explains what Karen was talking about earlier, where we would adopt 2023 rules for this next coming convention only, but this proposal would apply beyond that point. Normally, a bylaws change takes effect immediately, but because of this proviso, it would take effect after this convention is over. And we need to do that just because if for some reason, and it could happen, that there is a difference between the 2023 rules and these rules, if the delegates adopt this in mid-stride, it would change the convention rules. This prevents that from happening and causing chaos and confusion. That's what the purpose is for. And that's a key point about that, is that this would apply afterwards. The 2023 rules would apply for the whole convention on their own. And then after that, these would take over. Okay. The proposal itself is for the bylaws amendment is very simple, and it's right here. Simply, it says that the convention shall use and follow the convention rules, which will be attached. A convention rule may be added, amended, or deleted by a 2/3 vote of the delegates, which is the same threshold for suspension of the rules at any annual convention. But the next section says, yes, special conventions will also follow the rules, but they can't be changed at that convention. That's important because a special convention is different from an annual one. It's very limited in scope, and we don't want to be screwing around with the convention rules in a special convention because that is out of line with the purpose of what that special convention is.
And if a rule isn't serving their purpose, they could always move to suspend it.
Correct. So that's the motion to add the piece into the bylaws to link the rules in.
Even though I said hold, because is this the only part that deals with the bylaws, or is there other parts?
This is the only part that deals with the bylaws.
Okay, because I'm not so sure I agree this is the best way to handle it. When you have adopted permanent convention rules, you don't need a provision that says you're going to use the convention rules. That's part of adopting them. And I think the amendment provision of how they get amended needs to be placed in the portion of the bylaws entitled amendments.
I disagree because they're not bylaws.
Neither is the platform, but
Right, and
but
the
the
platform
bylaw,
has its own separate amendment provision.
yeah, and I would say convention rules under amendment should have its own separate thing. And
think we
under
put it down there.
special conventions, we could just add that something about the convention rule shall not be added to, amended, or deleted at a special convention.
The reason I put them here is because these sections tie directly into how those conventions are conducted and operated, rather than having them as a separate document like the bylaws and the platform are. Okay, that's just the clean copy without the extra pieces. Those two sections of the bylaws deal specifically with how annual and special conventions are called, what they can be do, and how they are run. And this ties directly into how they are run versus putting them in a separate amendment location, which would separate that from those pieces, and that can cause confusion.
Yeah, okay, well, we're not at debate. I just raise that when we get to debate, we can do that. Okay, so continue with the proposal for the rules.
Okay, and the rules themselves are attached. Now, right down here following this.
Is there anything different from what we've done typically in the past?
Not in general. There was a couple of minor tweaks that I threw in here. One of the things that was a problem was we didn't have any really specific arrangement for determining our presidential electors. So in the simple solution that I came up with was I put them in to the section under nomination for offices right there with U.S. Senate and House of Representatives.
Okay,
Because there's no real reason to not use the same methodology for nomination form. So it kind of fits in rather neatly right there.
okay, can you scroll a bit?
Sure. Where you want? Tell me when to
Yeah,
start.
I'm just seeing how what they look like. I can see here.
Now, admittedly, I did not have a copy of last year's rules in front of me to work this. So, and I had worked on this after the last convention to try to make them synced up. So I'm going off of the assumption that I had them pretty well synced up after the last convention.
Again, I'm scrolling through on my copy here. Here's what I think, and I'd like the committee's thought on this, because there's a lot here. And for some of you, this is a lot newer than those of you who have been to a million conventions. Where did you put language, Mike, that says this only applies on certain years? Or did you just do when applicable?
When applicable, yes.
Okay, gotcha. And actually, and that makes sense, because if for some reason there was some kind of weird runoff where we did have to nominate somebody, rather than it just saying this only applies in whatever number of years, when applicable is much more flexible.
Yes. And really the when applicable parts only apply to the partisan offices, national committee representatives, like platform committee spot, for example, national convention delegates, which is usually in the even number of years. And this one, nomination of election of state committees. The reason that's in there is because I have a proposal drafted that would change how these committees are populated.
Yes, I remember we talked about that. So that's kind of dependent upon.
Well, no, it really isn't.
Okay.
Because the way it's set up is that it just says first on the bylaws. So if that proposal that I'll be presenting later in this committee if it doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't affect this at all because the current bylaws still have their own way of selecting. I mean, this doesn't matter.
Here's what I suggest. And particularly because John isn't here. And, you know, John's somebody who's got a lot of experience in the party. We don't always agree on a lot of things, but I respect his opinion and his input. And there's a lot to digest here for some of the newer members of the committee.
Yeah.
This is what I suggest, and it will keep the night a bit short, but I suggest that now that everyone has a copy of this, you understand the purpose of it, that everyone take these and review them at your leisure. Maybe do some markup on some changes that you don't agree with. Maybe you agree with them in full. And we come prepared to the next meeting to amend and adopt, to be fully prepared that this is going to be disposed of at the next meeting. I don't think everyone's had enough review time to meaningfully decide things tonight. And I'm going to let you know, I'm going to propose different bylaws language. We just have a difference of opinion here on the way this needs to be inserted into the bylaws, but the committee will ultimately decide on how they want to do it. But
I'm
what
amenable to post doing that because these only got sent out to everybody at like 9 o'clock this morning.
Yeah.
So
this is what I suggest we all go and live with these for a couple weeks. If you have though any questions or proposed changes, to do some markup on the document itself, which Mike had sent over in Word form, and email it out to everyone so that not only everyone could have enough time to review this draft proposal, but also changes that people might be bringing to meetings, because the best decisions aren't always made on the fly. They're made when you have an opportunity to look at them and think about it. So I'm going to work up some things to that one part that I had talked about to send out so that Mike can see it and everyone else can see it and the committee can make meaningful decisions. And also on the convention rules, there might be some things people think are missing or don't need to be addressed. So if everyone's amenable to that, I would like actually to just send you all home with these. Let's set our next meeting and be prepared to adopt these in whatever amended form for proposal to the convention at next meeting. And also during the interim time, start downloading that proposal form. And if you have proposals, start emailing them out to the list, and I'll get them in the agenda in the order that they're submitted. So we can start working on proposals. Now, the reason why I asked you to wait, Mike, is just so that everyone could understand. I knew you understood how to use that form because you and I have been on a million committees together, but I wanted us all to be starting from the same starting line.
no, I'm good with that. I'm good with
So if that's good with everybody, we really do have a limited time frame until convention. What's our deadline, Mike? Do you know off the top of your head for when our report is due? Is it 30 days
Give me 1 second.
or is it 45 days?
Hold on. I can give you that answer in a quick second here. Let me find the right 6 weeks before convention.
Okay, so basically 45. I mean, it's not 45, but okay, 6 weeks before. So what date is that? We need to have that in our brains.
That's 42 days before April 1st. So you're talking
So 6 weeks,
February 16th,
6 weeks before April what?
April 1.
We do not have a lot of time.
That puts it around February 16th.
I have it at February 18th, 6 weeks before April 1st, 2023. Says on Google, February 18th.
Okay, well, that's close.
Okay, so we do not have a lot of time. y- I'm going to suggest something that I know people are not gonna like, though not for December. What is 2 weeks from today?
2 weeks from today is Christmas Day.
Okay, that's not gonna work. I want to have another meeting in December. And then in
That ain't gonna
January,
work for me. I can tell you that right now.
you cannot meet a day in December?
I've got 2 weeks of balls to the wall work, packing and moving.
Okay, well then, we can work and discuss these things on email list. I realize people got Christmas parties, they got family, it's December. So how about this? I know people are not gonna like me. I'm gonna suggest beginning January 2nd that we meet every week and up until our deadline, with the last Sunday before our deadline is February 13th, with a goal of having all of the proposals done by then, and I'll finalize the report in order to have it done by the 18th. Because we don't have much time.
Assuming I have comms, I should be okay with that.
How does-
January 2nd is a Monday.
Oh, it says Sunday on mine. Oh, you're
Nope,
right.
it's a
Hold on.
Monday.
I didn't switch ears. Thank you. So Sunday,
Is New Year's Day.
yeah, we're not doing that. So starting the 8th. So we'll be meeting the 8th, the 15th, the 22nd, the 29th, the 5th, and the 12th.
Okay, I'm gonna ask the question. Do we want to do anything on meetings during the weeks on those?
We might need to. Depending upon, we can do things by email as well. We are under the same email voting rules as the board. I just think it's a lot more productive at meetings. If like come January 15th, there's a lot of proposals, things are going slow, we might need to do some weekday meetings. But I at least wanted to get this set schedule down. And it doesn't mean there won't be, it doesn't mean we can't do additional ones. These are the minimums. And,
Okay, I am not going to be available on January the 8th. nor the
okay, and the funny
29th.
thing is well, I might not be either because the LNC has some meetings. We can't though. Okay, you guys, the week of January 2nd, God, this is going to be tough. I really wish we could bang out these convention rules in December. We could potentially do them by email, but I really would like not to. There is no way you can meet it all in December, Mike, even if we had a short meeting.
Well, okay, let me put it this way. We could do something possibly in the evening next week. Okay. But the weekend of Christmas, I am in the middle of loading up a moving truck,
Yeah.
dawn to dusk. The week after that, I am on the road for most of the week. And getting things unloaded going into New Year's. The week after that, I have that week off, so I should be available for that, no problem. I could possibly do something from the road, but that would limit my ability to view things because of driving and being through my phone rather than on my computer. So it's possible, but it wouldn't be optimal, if that makes any sense.
It does, but I would at least like to get these banged out. What does the 22nd look like to everybody?
I could do the
December
22nd.
22nd, I could do it.
And, we can have a lot of discussion over email between now and then. Reese, Matthias, Kyle,
Sorry, I'm checking my calendar right now.
okay.
Yeah, I don't see any conflicts on my schedule.
Okay. So how about this then? We're gonna meet December 22nd to finish the convention standing rules. Then we can do more things over email. People can start considering proposals over email. And then we meet Sunday, January 15th, the 22nd, the 29th, February 5th, and February 12th. Now, we might end up scheduling other ones, but these is right now our set schedule of meetings, December 22nd, then January 15th, 22nd, 29th, February 5th, February 12th, and then this committee is done. It's got to have its report in by the 18th.
I think we can make that work, at least on this side, I think.
And I know there'll be some days some people can't make it. It's inevitable, but we really are on a short time frame. I wish the board had appointed this committee earlier. But it is what it is, and we work with what we got.
Keep in mind also the platform committee, which some of us are on the same deadlines. But that should be a lot simpler to deal with too.
It is. And at the first platform committee, I'm going to remind LPCO that, and the entire committee, that the convention oversight committee is really, they're giving at maximum an hour for consideration of platform proposals. So their report shouldn't be overly ambitious. Now, of course, the convention could always move to extend time. The convention's going to do what the convention's going to do, but the way convention planning is going right now is that platform is pretty mature. But again, who knows? Again, conventions can do weird things. All right, everyone, then I'm going to send you home with looking at these. Mike, I'll have some proposed revisions on the list this week. And, hopefully all of us can discuss and debate in a friendly manner on the list of them and be able to meet on the 22nd quickly, because we will have already exchanged arguments on the list. When I say list, I mean our emails, and also shown each other our proposals, and we can do some voting and bang it out.
Karen Ann, check chat.
Check chat. 1 second.
Yes, I'd like somebody to stick around and show me how to get into the Google folder.
Okay, did you get the, well, I'll do that with you, Bennett. Don't want to keep everybody. So if that's good with everybody, we are adjourned at 7:54.
Hey, Karen Ann, ping me afterwards when you're okay.
Ping.
Just message me.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, Bennett, do you use Gmail? I'm in a meeting, Wayne. I'm sorry, what, Bennett? Bennett?
I have used Google folders before, but it's been several years and I'm sure they've changed the rules since.
Not knowing what you see on your end, did you get an email from me that says that I shared a folder with you?
Okay, hang on a moment. Let me see if I can find that one. Okay, I'm looking specifically for the word shared.
I can reshare it right now, so it'll come to the top of your list. Let me look here. The email address I shared it to is rutledges@peoplepc.com.
Yeah. And
Is that the only email
but
address?
that's the only one I use routinely.
Because sometimes it's easier if even just to access the folder, if you had a Gmail address, because I could easily show you how. I don't know, because I'm familiar with what the view looks like from Gmail, but not
Yeah.
familiar with what the view looks like from your end. I'm resending the share email. So you should get this again right now.
OOGL.
Did you get the email?
Mm. Check mail. Folder share with you, Bylaws Committee 2023.
Yes, and if you, there's a link in there.
And open. New tab. Okay. I see the word drive in the upper left corner. And let's see. And have access to manuals with
Yeah,
a
those are the folders.
docx and a PDF. Okay.
Yeah, so those are the folders. As we start having proposals, they'll be put in here. The convention rules proposal was sent by email in Word format, but there's a copy of it also in the folder that is entitled Convention Rules Proposal.
Mhm.
In the forms folder is where you can download a copy of the proposal form to edit if you have a proposal. You know, and agendas just has each agenda as it goes. And under contacts has everybody's phone, email address, just in case people need
Okay.
to get in touch with everybody.
So I'm going to mark this and put it in a folder called L Party. save it. Okay, so I should be able to get back to it when I need.
Yep, okie dokie.
And let's see, which of these 5 folders is the current bylaws in?
I haven't put them in here yet. That's something I still need to do. I'll create a folder
Okay.
that says current bylaws. But you can find them, you know, on the LP Colorado webpage. If you go down to the footer, it says bylaws. But I'll get a copy up here into this folder too, because I like it to be one-stop shop, so you don't have to be bopping all over the place to find what you need.
Thank you. And I was looking at the LP Colorado website recently, and I did not see bylaws specifically. I saw platform, but
Yeah, down in the
Anyway.
footer, it says bylaws. I'm gonna pull up the
in the
Colorado.
footer.
Yeah,
Okay,
so you have to scroll all the way down to the bottom. Hold on, I'm pulling up the website right now. And what it does is it takes you to an LPDA page, and you just go to the most current version on the LPDA page. Yeah, in the footer, there's a section called party organization. It says platform, bylaws, board records.
I see it.
And when you hit bylaws, it takes you to an LPDA page that says index of Colorado Libertarian Party bylaws, and it's the last one on the list. It's the most current one, bylaws adopted
Okay.
2021. But I will
Okay.
get a copy of those in the folder too.
Thank you.
Okie dokie, is that it?
That's it for now.
Okay, I will
Have a
see you
good
on the
evening.
22nd then. You have a good evening.
Bye.
Hey, bye-bye.